Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my Monday messages. I haven't done one for a week or so, and I'm not going to make excuses, just didn't get around to it. So today I want to talk about our relationship with natural light. It was the solstice yesterday, the summer solstice, and that's the longest day. What does that mean? It means the availability of natural light is at its peak. And from this point onwards in this hemisphere, the availability of natural light lessens. And obviously eventually we go into the winter months where it is at its lowest availability. And it always is an invitation to me to think about, what does that mean? What, in the past, and I know for very many of you, the solstice, the summer solstice is a time of celebration. It's a time where we are aware of the sunrise and the sunset, and whether you choose to celebrate the sunrise or the sunset on that day doesn't really matter. It's just an honouring of a marking, a ritual of that turning point in the year. For me also, though, this year in particular, it's made me really think about, well, how am I affected by the availability of all that light, for a start? I mean, yesterday was such a beautiful day here, so gorgeous and sunny and warm and hot, and I got to swim in the sea, and I spent a few hours with a really close friend of mine. It was just a gorgeous day. And I wondered how many times we actually sit and think about, how do I feel when there is that abundance of natural light? And I know it's something we take for granted, light, because we have artificial light, obviously, and artificial light enables us to do more stuff for longer periods of time. And that can be, like most things, both good and bad. And I'm using those terms very loosely. Obviously, it can be life-saving in certain situations, medical situations where there are emergency surgeries or, anything like that. But from our point of view, day to day, very many of us, I think, feel at our peak at that time. We feel abundant in ourselves, and we're very aware perhaps of the abundance around us because of that natural light, and we stay up later, we're outside for longer. We may actually do many more things than we would do in the winter months. It's a time when our inner fire is at its peak, and we are often able to do more. And conversely, how then does our energy shift, that internal light? How does that shift when we become more reliant on the artificial light? Are we actually honouring our natural circadian rhythms, our natural metabolic rates? And seasonally it is an ebb and flow, it's not a constant. And whether we are expecting ourselves to be at the same pace no matter what the season is that good? Is that bad? Is that healthy for us? How does it affect us? So I wanted to encourage a little bit of reflection, excuse the pun, on what your relationship is with natural light and with artificial light, because natural light replenishes us, it nourishes us, it feeds us, it resonates with our own ability to shine internally and to reflect that outwards. Artificial light does not. And in fact, there are many artificial lights out there that actively take from us. And some of us feel that more than others. And the prevalence of things like S.A.D, seasonal affective disorder, which is a lovely blanket term. What does it actually mean? It's traditionally perceived as a kind of depression when there's a lack of natural light, but actually it ignores all kinds of other possible reasons. In homeopathy, we always consider what someone's relationship is with the different seasons, not only because of weather conditions, but because of the availability or not availability of natural light. And it will affect our ability to maintain something that perhaps society expects us to be maintaining as a constant. And that might be detrimental or it might be absolutely okay, but we always take it into account. And most people, once they are conscious of it, will have a shift in energy, a little transition of some sort to accommodate that lessening or increase of natural light. It's very important as a kind of volume switch, even for us energetically. And I think we ignore it too much at our detriment. It's interesting too that often our perception of light as being, all about the ability to see more, as opposed to dark, meaning we can't see as much, is not always true. I live on the edge of a dark sky area, what's called a dark sky area here. And interestingly, dark sky areas are where we can see more light than we can in the light polluted areas. The dark sky area enables us to really see those star systems and to see them shine. You can't do it when there is light pollution. And most people understand that means that the dark is polluted, and therefore the difference between dark and light muddies our ability to see those stars. But it also pollutes us internally as well. It has an effect. It takes our energy in order to process the effects of that artificial light. And it's something that if we become conscious of it, that we can do a number of things to address that. We can choose to slow down the pace of our lives, for example. We can choose to actually recognize that as we come out of summer, which is a very high energy, fiery, get things done, enjoy life type energy, there's a natural ebb to that as we go into the darker months, and we are called to honor that and to slow down. Many of us don't. We think we can keep going. And that's when we feel burnt out. It's not a coincidence that the autumn term is often the term where, the time of year where everyone gets sick. Often because there's a throwing off of stuff that's been accumulating, but also because we're not honouring that slowing down. We're not cognizant of the lack of natural light, and therefore the lack of our ability to really feel charged. So there are many, many homeopathic remedies that can address or rebalance or recalibrate our circadian rhythms, our metabolic rates, our, and that in turn affecting our moods, the way we work physically, all sorts of things. I would argue that almost any really good homeopathic prescription can do that. But there are some very specific remedies as well that can be used in that way if that's something that you feel is part of your makeup, if you like. And not waiting till it happens is a good strategy. So I'm just encouraging anyone to actually maybe start asking yourselves some of the questions that I've put in the post with this video. Maybe do some journaling on, well, what is my relationship actually? Am I affected by a lessening of natural light? How do I feel when I have tons of natural light? And how do I feel when I'm almost solely reliant on artificial light? Is there a difference there? What can I do to help mitigate the effects of that? And sometimes it could just be I need to be aware of it and I need to slow down a bit. And sometimes if it becomes, if it's really debilitating and it's a pattern, then a good homeopathic prescription can really address that and really turn it around. So if you're not sure, then do feel free to book a free clarity call with me and we can discuss what's the best way forward for you. But that's really what I wanted to talk about today, is just being aware of our relationship with that natural light and to allow ourselves some celebration, for sure. It's not too late. If you didn't do anything yesterday, do it today. Who cares? And also to think about, well, okay, so if I'm feeling absolutely brilliant now, how do I, or what do I need to put in place to actually ensure that I can continue feeling as much like that as possible, even though natural light may not be available to me? Okay, and as ever, welcome any comments. I would love to hear, how many of you actually do think that you have a touch of S.A.D. or seasonal affective disorder. I don't like those blanket terms. They're a bit meaningless, really. I think all of us are affected in some way or another. It's just a question of where on the scale you are, and how you deal with it. But I'd love to hear, how many of you are conscious that something changes when that natural light diminishes. Okay, have a beautiful day and a beautiful week, and get out there and enjoy those sun rays and just the light. Take care.